Now, if you're struggling with self-sabotage and you don't know where to start, here, right here on this podcast, we're building the community. I want to remind you, breaking self-sabotage patterns takes time. You've been operating like this for years, every decade, like I was. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small wins. We're building a community of people committed to breaking these cycles. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Terror to Triumph. I'm your host, Alfonso Pelt. And in the center of the screen that you see today is my lovely co-host, Storm. How you doing, Storm?
I'm fine. Hello.
Hey, today we got a really good episode for you guys. We're talking about triggers at work. So when you go to work and somebody says something or something reminds you of the trauma that you have suffered through, what do? Your body starts to react how it reacts, whether it be you start to freeze or you start breathing harder or heart starts racing, whatever your physical response may be, like you can't think straight or you trying to take yourself out of the present tense situation. We're trying to give you some tools that can help you actually deal with that. And as a survivor myself, and as Storm is too, we can elaborate on personal experiences as to how we both had to learn how to cope and deal with our own personal responses to trauma triggers in the workspace. So this episode is dedicated to those survivors out there who are trying to cope and live with their present current situation at work. So, first, let's be real. Work is a trigger minefield, okay? I mean, for survivors, it's a lot that goes on in a work environment that can trigger you. Uh, Work environments are chock full of things and people that are possibly able to trigger you, like authority figures, bosses, managers, and supervisors. Loud or sudden noises if you work in a factory or if you're around some machinery or heavy industrial machinery. Um, Crowded spaces, like assembly line where you work around a lot of people, or say for those who work in the New York Stock Exchange where they're shoulder to shoulder, you know, sudden sounds. Say somebody's using a loud hammer, a drill hammer, or a saw, or something like that, and you don't know it's about to turn on. They turn it on and it startles you. Things like that. Um, Crowded. Oh, I already said that. Time pressure and deadlines can trigger you. Um, where you have a quota you have to meet, and it feels like you're not going to meet that quota, or you have a lot on your plate and you're at a desk and you have to turn in some reports, and those reports are really, really labor sensitive. Like there's a lot going in those reports and you're struggling trying to put it all together before your deadline. uh Lack of control. Other people can be privy to lack of control when you are doing a job and you're working on a team, and you have some team members who might not be pulling their weight, and you're trying to get them on board, because as a team, if one person fails, you all fail. So if you're doing a team project and one person isn't pulling their weight, that the whole team suffers. um Okay, I said that. Repetitive tasks that allows your mind to wander. Um, yeah, mundane things, uh, especially like assembly lines or maybe even in the office when you're doing data entry or something like that can get really repetitive, especially if you go through the same reports, the same sheets, the same documents. If you are on a line and you have one job and you do that all day, and you just going through the motions on your job, that lets your mind wander sometimes because your body physically will be on autopilot and you'll be trying to still do the task. When your mind wanders, it could wander to something that's triggering. Um, Physical demands that can overwhelm your senses. So, uh, excuse me, overwhelm your nervous system. I was working one job where the physical demands were really, really demanding, and I was finding physical problems because of that. And because I was a new person on the job, the supervisors were all laughing because they saw me struggling, and that was like hazing, if you will. So that's not cool, especially for a survivor of trauma, because that's triggering by itself. Um, Interpersonal conflict, um, and criticism or feedback from your superiors or your coworkers. All of these or any of these can trigger a survivor, and you're expected to perform regardless. So to be professional, to not fall apart, we have some tools for you. Anyway, common work triggers for survivors is like a boss who yells or a coworker who invades your space. Loud noise on an assembly line. Well, gee, I just said all of these, didn't I?
Yes.
I'm ahead of the game. Um, okay, so basically, I'm gonna pass that because these feelings basically make you feel powerless or controlled. So,
Mhm.
when you're going through, when you're having a trigger episode, your heart races, you can't focus, your hands start to shake, something like that. You feel dizzy or disconnected. You want to cry or scream. You might freeze or you can't respond. You, like I just said, you disassociate and you feel numb, or you get angry at small things and you want to run out the building, or you want to run out the building. You're supposed to keep working. Well, all of these things can happen to you. Some multiple things, some, isolated things. The stakes are high. You need the job, right? So, in order to continue, you're thinking, okay, I need this paycheck. I got the bills to pay. I can't afford to lose this job. You try to push through and hide it. You tell yourself, I'm okay. I'm okay. I can do this. But your body's in crisis and that takes a toll on you. Storm, can you continue with the next part, please?
Yes. Here's what you need to know. Your reactions is normal. Your nervous system is doing its job. You're not broken. You're not weak.
Mm-hmm.
You're a survivor trying to survive in an environment that doesn't know you're struggling. You have options. You don't
Yes.
have to like knuckle it through, through it. The immediate tools for a work episode: bathroom break, step away, splash cold water on your face, ground
Mm-hmm.
yourself with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And that's the breathing technique. Come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
The micro moments is stretch. Shake out your hands, move your body and tell your nervous system the danger has passed.
Mhm.
Anchor phrase, repeat one sentence, I'm safe. This is a trigger. I can handle this. Ask for a task challenge. If possible, ask to switch tasks for 10 minutes. Moments and novelty can reset your nervous system. Tell a trusted coworker if you have someone you trust. You don't have to explain everything. Just say, I need a minute. They might understand.
Mhm.
Use your phone, step outside, call a safe person, listen to a grounding audio, text a friend.
Yep. And here are some long-term strategies that you can use. You can talk to your HR manager. You don't have to disclose your trauma, okay? But you can ask for accommodations, flexible breaks, a quieter workspace, remote work options, headphones, a clear desk, or a private area. For therapy, a trauma informed therapist can help you process your work triggers and build coping skills specific to your job. So you don't have to find ways on your own. You can also find a support group, connect with others who work. I'm sorry, you can connect with other survivors who can, which work can normalize your experience and give you extra real strategies. Journaling at the end of your shift, write down what triggered you. This helps you see patterns and plan ahead. You can set boundaries. Okay, it's okay to say no. I had to pause right there for a minute because a lot of us survivors are afraid to say no. We don't like saying no. No causes conflict, and we try to stay away from conflict as much as possible. So we try to avoid saying no at all costs, but it's okay because saying no protects you. Okay. It's okay to leave a meeting if you're triggered. You can say, excuse me for a moment. Your health matters more than looking professional. Okay. If you're in a crisis at work, you can step outside and call 988. That's a suicide and crisis lifeline. You can go to the ER if you need to, if the seriousness of that has escalated, because your safety always comes first. Always. The truth is, you shouldn't have to choose between your mental health and your paycheck. But until the world changes, you have to protect yourself. And that starts with knowing you're not alone. Millions of survivors are working through this right now. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're surviving. So, what's your biggest trigger, Storm, at your job? You know, what causes you the most stress that could cause a trigger?
When we have assignment, we have a deadline, you have an inspection coming up. And even though I know that everything should be under auto, I freak out, and my nerves get bad and it just causes chaos in my body. My nervous system goes out of whack. And because I have worked with my boss for so many years, it's like one of those, those shake moments, like you gonna be
Mm,
okay. And
yeah.
this is gonna be okay. You got this, and she like, okay, you sit down and you calm down for, take 10 minutes and you calm down, because we got this. Ain't nothing gonna happen. So thank God for her being understanding.
Yeah, that's another thing. What it just spoke to you about was having somebody you can confide in at work that you could trust. That you don't have to tell them everything, but telling them you just need a moment is enough, and it can give you the time that you can focus on yourself and get yourself back to a place where you can continue to function at work. Mine is people by itself, just the people. Worked in environments where you are close around other people, and also that you work in teams. So it's it's nerve wracking when you have those people who do invade your space. Um, I was just dealing with a situation like that, uh, where a person kept invading my personal space, and they didn't mean any harm by it. You know, that was their sense of humor. But as a trauma survivor, that was triggering to me. And I didn't want to explode because I'm at work. And that would have been a explosive instance for me to just turn around and cut somebody out, you know, that's right in my personal space. Like personal space, when you think about the legality of it, is said to be 3 feet. Within 3 feet, you're invading somebody's personal space. So if you're standing next to someone, you're inside of that 3 foot zone, then you're in their personal space. If work requires you to work on something where you have to be within that 3 feet foot space zone, that's different. But we're talking about if you're working and in your work situation, there's no one around you within that 3 feet space zone and you're comfortable, somebody comes and invades that. That's different. Okay. Now, if somebody's handing you something, a paper or your check or some documents you need to process, okay, they have to hand that to you. They have to step inside that zone. But if a person is smelling you, you're smelling your neck, smelling your hair, putting their hands, touching your shoulders, touching your arms in any kind of way, touching your back, uh, any other place that they're touching you. That's inappropriate. That's invading personal space. That's a trigger. Instantly, that's a trigger for us survivors.
But that's
So,
also sexual assault at that point. If they doing too much, that's sexual assault. And you can tell them, hey, you know that you violating the law at this point.
well, in certain instances, a person might not realize that they're committing sexual assault by invading your personal space and touching you. Some people are touchy feely people, you know, and that's innocent in their regard. They don't actually mean to be sexual with their intent as they touch you. Some people like come and put their hands on your shoulder. Hey man, such and such and such. But that's just their type of person. But it's the way the touch is interpreted would be sexual assault. If they just put their hand on your shoulder and they talking to you, blah 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 blah, that's one thing. But if they put their hand on your shoulder and they start rubbing your shoulder, okay, that's different. So we have to, as survivors, pay attention to the minute details that I mean, the touch by itself is going to be a trigger regardless. So let me get that clear. To a survivor, any kind of touch, whether it's platonic or whether it's sexual intent, any touch is going to be a trigger. So we have to process our environment like quickly to assess, is this person doing this with a sexual intent or is this person doing it? But regardless of trying to process it, we can absolutely say and speak up for ourselves, please don't touch me at work, or just please don't touch me. Could you please remove your hand from my shoulder? You know, if a person doesn't get it when you say that, then you know it's a problem already. If you have to remove yourself from the environment, seek a supervisor, seek some form of management person above, seek some other coworker and explain to them what's going on with this person. Get other people involved. Don't do this alone. Okay, that's a big work trigger for me because a lot of people do that at work. Sometimes they don't mean it. Sometimes they do. So we have to, like I said, assess, address, and move on. Okay. Um, I'll go first on the next one. I have had episodes at work, uh, situations where I couldn't think straight. My heart was racing on the inside, and it almost caused me to lose my job because I almost started to fight somebody. Um, Luckily, however, somebody stepped in because they saw the situation was about to escalate to a violent situation. But they stepped in and they calmed me down. Appreciate that person for doing that. Um, but that was a serious situation there. And so people have to realize that you just can't say certain things that might be triggering. You know, even you could say anything though, and it could be triggering depending on the person and what happened in their trauma. So we have to be very cautious about how we speak to people as non-survivors. You should be very aware. I know a lot of people think, well, I'm going to say what I feel like saying. I got the right of free speech, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But compassion for your fellow man should be present in your mind. Just thinking about the other person as you speak to them. A lot of us, excuse the expression, a lot of people have the I don't give a fuck attitude, and we're going to say whatever we're going to say. That can cause a lot of issues. That can cause a lot of problems. And I'm pretty sure in their lives, it probably already has. But you can come up on as Storm likes to say, you can come up on the right, wrong person. And that will become an issue that's going to be on the news or something like that. And we're trying to avoid that. So this episode is trying to tell you, hey, recognize your surroundings, recognize the people who you're working with, and find ways to handle your situations appropriately. Okay. So there doesn't have to be an escalation. So there doesn't have to be a situation where you're now in the office talking to the supervisor. Well, they did this and this, that, and the other. Now it becomes a situation where you have to prove yourself. So if you get people involved and you tell them ahead of time about this situation that has just started occurring, then other people can see you have witnesses. It's not just you against them. So that's why I said that. Episodes at work. Have you had an episode at work, Storm?
Yeah, and I think I had to, describe one because, like there can be certain triggers, but like I said, my boss is my go-to, so she knows. So therefore, I do have a safe person, and I'm happy about it.
Okay. In my situation, I didn't know the people as well as you know your supervisor.
Hmm.
So I didn't have a safe person I could go to on the job. So that was kind of critical for me. I had to handle my situation on my own. And luckily, there was somebody who happened to witness it to step in on that other situation. Um, and working assembly lines. Yeah, you can often be in somebody's personal space, and that could be issues with uh how you work. I was working at a company I just completed the contract with, and working close to the next person, they had to steam a product next to my station. Sometimes the operator that was doing the steaming noticed that they missed something when the product came into my station. I worked behind them. So when they notice, they try to reach over and use the steamer, which is blowing steam either on me or close to where I am in my station. So that unnerves me. That's like a shocking type thing, because it's sudden. There's no warning and it's happening in real life, in real time. And the person, non-survivor, says, well, it's just steam, it's not going to hurt you. That's not the point. The point is you invaded my personal space without me knowing that you don't. Because hey, let me get that right quick. Some kind of warning ahead of time. No, you just come over and psh, all of a sudden I got steam in my face. I got I got steam on my hands. And steam is steam. So if you think about it, it's not cold steam, it's hot steam. So that can burn you. So it's things people need to be aware of. I understand that the job needs to be done. You're trying to help, but you got to give heads up. So those things I had to like walk away, maybe take 5 minutes or take a minute or something to gather my thoughts, come back and start working again. So it was a situation. I'm gonna explain this because we're getting really close to time to go. We got like less than 4 minutes. Um, a lady was trying to do the job. She was like an assistant supervisor. I don't know exactly what her position was, but as I was working on my job, she came up behind me and she was trying to do something to the product around me, but I didn't know she was behind me. And I finished doing what I needed to do. And as I turned, my shoulder brushed against her breast. And that was an instant trigger because I felt like so ashamed at the same time as being shocked. And she's standing right there. I said, oh my God. And I just did like this. And I walked off the line. I had to literally walk off because it was so shocking to me. She was like, it's okay. You didn't know I was there, but it's not okay to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a survivor. You don't understand what that means to me. Physical touch is something inappropriate. Physical touch is something extremely difficult for me to deal with. So,
Yes.
have you had any of that type of situation in the work environment at your job?
Yes, I have years ago, and because I work with the elderly, I work with residents, and sometimes they tend to, you know, want to say certain comments or whatever, and we have to, put them in line. And then so for us taking their hand and going across the desk because you helping them fill out some paperwork and they touch it like don't, because I have to say, hey, you understand what are you doing at this time, and I can,
Right.
oh, Miss, Miss Storm, we don't mean no harm, blah blah blah, no, it was the harm wasn't already intended. I need you to respect that and respect my boundaries. I am helping you, and this is not a touchy feely situation. You know, so I need to help you with your application or help you with your research, and we good. But no, don't let this ever happen again.
Okay. See, she addressed the person directly. And sometimes you have to do that because if you don't tell them how it's affecting you, they may think it's okay and they continue to do it again and again and again, which is further pushing you in reverse than where you want to be in your work environment. So, direct approach, confrontation, sometimes it takes a direct talk. Hey, don't do this anymore. Don't touch me like that anymore. Please stop invading my personal space, etc. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to speak up for ourselves. And we have to protect ourselves, our mental state and our physical state. We have the right to do that, y'all. Well, we are out of time. So this week, I want you guys to identify one trigger, just one, okay? Pick one tool that you're going to try. So watch this episode over again, learn the tools, take them with you to work mentally. And when something happens, apply those tools to your situation. And then come back, comment on our page on YouTube or on my Facebook page as you're viewing this, and let us know, what happened, what you think, or you can go to www
Helps
YouTube
Emporia.
backslash Terror to Triumph or at sign Terror to Triumph Live, and you can comment there on our YouTube channel, or you can actually send us an email at terror the number two triumph at gmail.com. Um, Join us Tuesday. Terror to Triumph is live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube with our interactive Q&A. Also, you can head to www.pelsemporium.com to shop and support the podcast items there. Anything outside of Crystal's Corner is going to help support Terror to Triumph's platform so we can keep the communication and conversations going. Uh, Terror to Triumph is supported by Pels Emporium, of course. So head on over there, support us, because I didn't want y'all to just give us money. You know what I'm saying? I want you to actually have something to show that you support it. So go ahead on over there, find something you like, buy it, and support the communications that we are having, enjoying the community. Um, Remember, Pels Emporium, we're all beautiful. Okay, inside and out, we're all beautiful. You deserve a job that doesn't destroy your mental health. Okay, you deserve accommodations. You deserve to be safe at work. All right. Keep that in mind. We thank you for being here. Thank you for your honesty. I thank you, Storm, for joining us and being honest and sharing with us some of your personal experiences. I know it's not easy for us as survivors to talk about this stuff, but I do appreciate your presence. Um, I'm Afonso Pelt. This is Terror to Triumph. This has been my beautiful co-host, Storm. And I will see you Tuesday. Storm will see you again Saturday next week at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep moving forward, y'all. I love y'all. And y'all be safe out there, all right? Take care.